Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Searching for Players podcast, the podcast that knows that there is a lot of E3 news to cover, and so we're not going to have a clever intro today. We're going to dive right into it. As always, I am David, Player 1. Joining me, as almost always, Alina, Player 2, and Alex, Player 3, who's super excited for E3.
Oh, super.
So let's just jump right in. First off, tell me your overall impressions of this year's E3. Your general takeaway.
It was interesting. There were a lot of things that were announced, as always, that happens. That will be here in the next century. And then there were a lot of things that they showed. There weren't a lot of surprises this year. I felt like it was a lot of stuff that you expected. Not a whole lot of it wasn't like last year, oh my god. There was none of that.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I definitely agree. And I feel like a lot of the big sort of announced surprising things are either ways off or they didn't give us that much information yet about them. So,
and
not a bad E3, but just...
Yeah. So all the big games came out this year, so that was all at last E3, and then so this one's just, I guess, lacking. Yeah. I mean, as little as I watched of it, you still get the feed from everybody, oh, this happened at E3, and nothing that was coming through, I was like, yay, except for the stuff I already saw, so...
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was anybody that I feel like killed it this year. Right. Everybody was kind of, I think most of them were just kind of okay.
Well, and I feel like the things that I thought some of these companies needed to do, they didn't really do.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of get into that. We'll start with the EA conference. That was the first one on that past Saturday.
Yep.
General impressions of the EA conference specifically.
They talked too much.
Yeah.
They did.
My impression is meh.
Yeah, that was kind of my impression of EA.
No Sims.
No.
I was very upset because it was in the little clip thing that they had at the beginning. And I was like, oh, Sims! And then no Sims. And I was like, okay, I'll forget you then.
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff with community. They had streamers there playing the games and stuff like that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Which it definitely kind of gives the conference a weird, slower effect. Now, it ties in with their whole EA Play.
Sure.
People can come and actually play the games. But it gives the broadcasting a conference like this a little bit of a weird feel. One thing I think in my hopes and dreams I mentioned no big sports section with an awkward celebrity athlete and all that, which they didn't do. This time they spread the sports stuff out. Yeah, they would show FIFA then something else, then Madden then something else. So I kind of liked that better, kept that flow better.
Sure.
They did show Madden. There's going to be a story mode this time.
You love that.
I haven't bought a Madden in a long time. And now I'm like, it's got a story mode. I got to check that out.
Say, if there's achievements and the story mode, he's done.
The reason this intrigues me because you actually take a character from high school all the way up to the pros and stuff. So. And there's actual actors in it, like Scott Porter and some other people and stuff, actual, actors.
Yes.
So.
We looked up one name. So, yes, that guy's in it. We don't know of anybody else.
FIFA, also, like I said, is coming out on the Switch. It's going to continue the story mode from last year. I'm not a big FIFA player, so the story mode does not pull me in or anything. They also talked about NBA Live, which is kind of a big deal just because they skipped a year, so now it's coming back.
Really? I feel like they've skipped the last 10 years.
Well, because I think it was 16, so when it actually came out.
Well, no. I mean, the games may have come out, but they pretty much skipped the last 10 years.
I get what you're saying. The NBA 2K games have been always dominating those. So.
Yeah.
So two more interesting things. Need for Speed Payback, which had already been announced. They actually showed gameplay.
I've seen it before. It was Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. That's the vibe they're going for sure. It looked cool. I haven't really been in Need for Speed for a while. I don't know. Did y'all have any?
I haven't done racing games in forever, so
actually,
really...
it was one of those typically I'm fast forward. I watched it. I was somewhat entertained. It may be good for what it is.
The cool thing is it has those Burnout-esque crashes where you smash into them and the camera does the slow-mo zoom in on the wreck kind of thing. Sure. That looked cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something a little bit different. So that's always kind of good. Yeah. All right. So
the big thing that for me caught my eye was called Way Out. It's not coming out. It's coming out early 2018. It's made by the same people that did Tale of Two Sons, which was sort of that indie game where you plays the two little brothers looking for medicine for their father or something. I really liked it.
Brothers Tale of Two Sons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's basically a co-op prison break game where
yes,
it's you and they say you can play it online, but they have designed it actually for couch co-op, where you're sitting there next to each other, and the whole time the screen is split. So even if you're playing online, the screen is split, so you can see what's going on each other's screens. So while one person's talking to a guard and distracting them, and they may even be in a cutscene, you still have full control over your character, and you may be hiding something or hiding yourself in the laundry, whatever it is. And it just looked different,
Sure.
but also like just kind of a cool co-op experience, something different that's not just like an Army of Two or something where you're just shooting everybody together.
And I think actually that's funny that you mentioned that, because in a show where there wasn't a whole lot of different, like that was kind of one of those that really kind of stood out as something a little bit different. Like, hey, they took a chance there.
Because EA didn't bring a whole lot of new, brand new IPs and stuff,
which we'll get to in a second.
Right. So, but yeah, that one caught my eye. Probably of all the games at EA.
Sure.
And I'm watching that one. That one's definitely on my radar now. So,
yeah.
And then you mentioned Anthem, brand new IP from BioWare.
Yes.
Looks very different from anything BioWare's done before.
It's like Destiny with a story.
Pretty much. And it looked, of course, they were teaming up with Xbox. A lot of the stuff they were showing was running on Xbox One X, which we'll get to in a minute.
That was one with like the jetpacks.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
They actually debuted the actual gameplay at the Xbox conference. Okay. EA showed like CG and some stuff like
small
that.
cutscene.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which looked interesting. I'm not totally sold on it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay. But it is BioWare. Graphically, it looked really clean.
Yes.
Well, that's a definite. We have to see more. I don't think they even gave a release date on that yet.
They have not.
It obviously won't be this year, but
it may not be next year.
Yeah. So then my biggest disappointment. This conference was about an hour, as they normally are. The last half hour was just Battlefront 2 gameplay. Mm-hmm. Just people, streamers and stuff there to play Battlefront 2. Now, it looked really good. It's episode 1 battle in, I guess, Theed, the city on Naboo and all that stuff, or whatever. I don't remember. And you saw some new heroes like Darth Maul and Rey and all that. It looked good. It looked better than the first one, for sure. But like I said in our little preview show, my hopes and dreams, we were going to see more Star Wars games. There are more Star Wars games in development. Last year we got a little behind the scenes montage that didn't really show anything. So I thought for sure this year we'd see at least some CG trailers or some story stuff or something. And we got no mention of anything else Star Wars except for Battlefront 2. And I understand why they do it. It's coming out this year. They're making a big push. They also, talked about the single player. They actually had Janina Gavankar, I think is her name, the actress, on stage there. And to talk about her character, because she's the main character and all that stuff. Which, again, I'm excited for. But I just wanted other Star Wars stuff, not just a half hour of gameplay. So.
Well, and that's the big thing that's coming out. That's probably like their flagship for the fall. Right?
Yeah.
So they promoted the what out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, it was kind of like, you knew Battlefield wasn't going to be there. I mean, they did show they had the expansion coming out.
Yeah, they did talk about that expansion in the name of the SAR.
Yes.
Which is just multiplayer stuff,
correct.
no single player.
But yeah, for the most part, it's stuff that you already knew that was coming out. Right. So, I feel like, if you weren't excited for Star Wars Battlefront 2, I'm not sure this made you excited. Right. If you were already looking forward to it, then you already were. But, as big as Battlefront was, to me, that's not, and this is just my own opinion, so it's still not, it's not the upper echelon of, competitive multiplayer games. People are going to play it. It's going to sell like crazy when it comes out, but it's not one of those that people are going to be playing for the next 10 years.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a good game, but it was, for me, the conference was just meh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, overall, I would say the EA conference was if we're giving it letter grades, I would say a C. They had a couple of cool things, but for the most part, it wasn't.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay. It gets an F because no Sims.
Yeah.
Sims or go home.
That's right.
So what was next?
So then the next day, things kicked off with the Xbox conference, which I think we had talked about. Our sort of thought was they have to, they're going to show us the system, the new system.
Spoiler alert, they did.
They did. And then they had to give us reasons to buy that system this fall. Spoiler alert, they didn't. What were your overall impressions of what Xbox brought to the table?
I did not see Xbox at all.
Okay.
So I have no impressions whatsoever.
So
other than I heard there was a new console and I was like, why?
Right.
So I think that the system, like the Xbox One X,
is now the official name. Before it was
Yes.
like Project Scorpio.
Oh my god.
So
And
I'm just waiting for XOXO to be like, I want the hugs and kisses. No, I mean, the system, I think, looks great. I think the system's phenomenal. I mean, it's actually smaller than the Xbox One S.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks just like it. It's like a miniature version of it. It's ultra powerful. Forza 7 looked phenomenal, but only me and like the other 10% of the world that plays it, if that is going to be interested. Like, to me, we had talked about it in the pre-show. Like, we needed games, and yes, they did show games. Like, that was their mantra. But there's always kind of the
came
caveat.
out and said we're going to show you 42 games.
Yes,
which they technically did.
They did. Out of those, half of those were indie games, which disrespect to the indies, like good stuff. But you wanted to see. I think what everybody wanted to see was like internal, like exclusives, like AAA big titles that showcased. This is why I want an Xbox One X.
Right.
They showed Crackdown. They showed Forza 7, as I mentioned. Sea of Thieves. And,
State of Decay 2.
State of Decay 2. Like, those were kind of the big...
Exclusive
Xbox, things.
Yeah.
So, Crackdown, it's fun. I'm not sure that's... You either like it. I mean, it's not... Crackdown is not a game that's made for the graphics. Like, it's for the explosion, and I'm sure it'll run smoothly, but that's not going to be a system seller.
Right, which they said that's November 7th, so it launches the same day as the Xbox One X.
Correct.
Xbox One X, real quick, was November 7th. It's going to be $500.
Yes.
So,
So, looking at that, looking at some of the other games, like the State of Decay, like, the games are neat, but none of these are going to be system sellers. So, as great as the system is, what I question is, who is this for? Because I guess my thought there is, if it's for people that have, like, original PlayStation 4, is there enough there for them to go, nope, I need to jump ship, leave PlayStation behind, and buy the Xbox for these 4 games? Like, and to me, that's a no.
right.
If there's people that don't own a system, right, it's $500, which, like, for what's in it, like, it's worth it. But people that haven't bought anything, aren't at this point looking to shell out $500 when you can buy an Xbox One S for $250 or a PlayStation 4 for $250, or, and this is the problem, like, yes, the people that are techies and like the 4K matters, will see it. But other people are going to say, oh, well, the PlayStation 4 Pro does 4K. They're not going to look at the upscaling and the upsampling and say, well, and it's also $100 cheaper.
Right.
So I wonder who's it for, because we didn't see the games. We asked, like, we mentioned we wanted to see the indie games, some of those things, like the 9th or 10th. We didn't see anything that we didn't expect.
Right. No,
So,
not at all. And when they announced all the stats, we don't have to go through all that for the Xbox, but the one thing that's interesting is if you still want to use your Kinect, you have to buy an adapter now from Microsoft to make it work on the Xbox One X. They basically, the Kinect is done.
It is.
And also, it only comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. You think at this point they would have at least gone to 2 terabyte or something? Because those even...
I think the cost makes you start wondering if they had to cut down on the cost.
I guess. And like you said, right after Xbox One X, they brought out Forza. Which, I mean, Forza's a big deal. They always, they talk about 4K, 60 frames per second. That's going to be the one that really shows off the power of the system. Comes out October 3rd, so it actually comes out a little before the system. And they finally have the Porsche license, which I guess is a big deal.
Yeah, because it was like an EA exclusive for the longest time.
Right.
I mean, Forza looks like, I love Forza. Like, it looks great. Like, you want to, like, impress your friends, that's it.
Right.
But
I think if you're going to buy the Xbox One X, you almost have to buy Forza to really be like, look how awesome this system is.
There's a difference, I promise.
Yeah.
So...
and like you said, State of Decay, that doesn't come out till next year. To me, that's just another zombie game. I'm not big into those. So,
Sea of Thieves
again,
is interesting.
Early 2018.
Was State of Decay sort of that stealthy choose?
No, State of Decay was kind of like the massive zombie horde, right?
Right, but it was. I think you want it to be more stealthy. I think. And at night they got stronger, and you want to do stuff.
Is it that one with the big zombie bear? What was that one?
Oh, that you saw a thing for?
Yeah.
No, that was at the Sony. That's Sony's game.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's Days Gone.
Days Gone.
Oh.
That's a Sony exclusive.
Never mind.
Yeah.
A lot of zombie games.
I don't know why. I don't understand. Stop. No more zombies.
Right, yeah. Because zombies are easy, right? Because AI-wise, they don't have to be super smart. They just follow sort of a horde mentality.
Sure.
killing zombies doesn't offend people, so it's like easy to do, So
yeah, but those pro zombie groups out there, they really often.
You're talking
Zombies
about
have feelings too.
Assassin's Creed Origins made its debut at the
Yes.
Microsoft press conference, and again, it's because Ubisoft has a deal with Xbox One X, so everything they showed for Assassin's Creed here and at their own press conference the next day, everything was running on Xbox One X.
So one point with that. So it looked great, but the thing is, it's not. There was no Xbox One S, so it's like there's no comparison to say. I mean, they
How much
up by
better.
design,
Right.
right? Because what happens if it looks really, really good too on the Xbox One S? Then you lose steam with it. So it's like it looks good, but you have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
Which is
I'm not that worried. Like I'm gonna just get it and play it on my regular Xbox One. I'm not super worried about there being a huge, difference. So.
But I guess that's my question, right? So I know you didn't see the conference, but from what you've heard and kind of from what you saw, like, would you now buy an Xbox One
No.
X?
I don't even have anything past a regular Xbox. Like,
Okay.
I haven't done Microsoft Xbox stuff in a long. Not a regular Xbox 360. That's the last one I have.
Right.
And I mean, because you're the Xbox, you're probably the resident Xbox gamer.
Yeah.
I guess. I was on the fence, and if what they showed me was like, yes, those exclusive Microsoft games are really going to take advantage of it. I saw nothing that says, maybe in a year from now or something.
Sure.
I have no need to go out this holiday season and buy this right away.
And this is kind of the big challenge with something like this, right? With the stages. And this is something that I read elsewhere, and I'll bring up here in a second. But they're gonna are they realistically, when you start looking at these multiplayer games, that's really where you may start to see the difference. But they're gonna make the same game, and there may be some resolution differences.
Right.
Maybe not even frame rate differences. Like we've seen that with Destiny 2. It's going to be level or capped at 30 frames per second on both. So while the Xbox One X can do all these things, are you really going to start to see it? And the one thing that I hope Microsoft thought about this as they're starting to do the kind of incremental upgrades, what happened in, let's say, 2 years when Sony says, here's PlayStation 5. Legit, everything new, everything's going to have to take advantage of it. At this point, the Xbox will probably still be on. It could be still on, parity with it, but it still has to go back and be able to play all the old Xbox games.
Right.
So, unfortunately, the Xbox One X is marketed as this is just an upgrade. But everybody, it's a creature of habit. It's the next generation. So if Sony comes out with this is the next evolution, is Microsoft going to then bring out another one? Within 2 years and say, oh no, we have another one that's even better.
You're gonna lose faith from your.
I hope that doesn't happen,
base.
but that's something that was kind of brought up that I think is a very interesting
Right.
kind of take.
One thing that let me go from low and then we'll hit the high. Something that I thought was just super dumb that they seemed super excited about. They were talking about how it's exclusive. This is exclusive to the Xbox One X. To the Xbox One. It's a console exclusive. It's one of the few that's not also coming out on Windows 10. Most of these games that are exclusive are also coming out on Windows 10. This game is exclusive to the console. When they first started to show the video, I got super excited for about 2 seconds.
Oh, yes.
Because I thought it was a new Conquer game.
Oh.
It's not. It's called Super Lucky's Tale. It's a 3D platformer. And what I didn't realize at the time is it's basically a upgraded version of a Oculus game.
Yes.
Called Lucky's Tale. This is Super Lucky's Tale. And it's like I said, it's exclusive. This version is exclusive to the Xbox One. It's a 3D platformer, which I like 3D platformers. Sure. This looks, I guess maybe because it was originally created in VR, but it looks super graphically simple. Not even like a style, but it's just simple. It looks super little kid-ish. Mm-hmm. 3D platformers can still have a cool edge to them, whatever. Nothing about this game got me excited. Nothing about this game makes me interested in checking this game out. And they seemed super hyped about it.
Sure.
And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Are they for real right now?
Can you imagine if they actually shown a new Conquer's?
Oh my god.
Made for the Xbox One X? That would have been
Yeah.
And the character reminds me of Tails from Sonic, except even more basic. It's just
more
Yeah.
And then
what are you trying to say about Tails?
You know what? I like Tails, but he doesn't need another friend. He doesn't need a brother.
Right, as long as you're not hating.
No.
Tails was always my guy in the Sonic kart racing games.
Tails is my boy. Don't mess with him.
But on the other side, the thing that probably got me the most excited at the entire Microsoft conference.
Does it rhyme with Cuphead?
It does. They showed a little bit of Cuphead, but specifically a release date.
That did look really good.
September 29th.
I've seen the gameplay for that.
Just a couple months, 3 months.
Yeah.
We'll be playing it. Yeah. I can't say much more than that. I know we've talked about it before. It's a shmup / platformer.
Oh, it'll be great.
It's got a cool style.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I love it. I love the way
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
That's the most hype thing
I know
that you got out of the conference. That's where it's like,
Yeah. And obviously you don't need an Xbox One X to play that game at its highest or whatever. Like you mentioned, Crackdown 3 got the date November 7th. The trailer was kind of fun. It starred Terry Crews yelling at us about stuff. And he's going to be a playable character, I guess, and all that kind of stuff. So that's cool.
That's cute.
But I've never gotten into Crackdown, personally.
I don't even know anything about Crackdown.
It's an open world game that's about jumping around, blowing things up.
It's like a Saints Row, a Grand Theft Auto minus the story. Right, I mean, there's story, but it's more of, it's not
realistic.
It's like a Saints Row type of game.
What else? Oh, they did also debut at the Xbox conference. Something else I was a little bit excited for. This is not an exclusive. It's coming out on everything. Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Oh, yeah.
It comes out early 2018. It's a fighting game. It is Dragon Ball, and I've never gotten really into the Dragon Ball fighting games, but this is made by Arc System Works, who, of course, does Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue. So I think the battle system will be
4.
deeper. Yeah, the Persona 4 arena. Yeah.
Ultimate.
So I think the fighting system will probably be really good. We've already seen the graphics look really cool. It's got that Guilty Gear style and stuff. So.
Yeah, that does look.
It's cool. Phenomenal. Microsoft debuted it. Yeah. Not an exclusive though. Right. So, and we talked about Sea of Thieves. They showed more gameplay. I'm not super hyped on this game. I don't think it's going to be bad. It's just not my type of game.
Sure.
It's sort of an MMO.
A little bit.
But a little bit different. You can play with your friends and you run into other people and you're treasure hunting and stuff. I mean, it looks fun. It's just not something I personally think I would get into.
Well, you know what's funny is it's like this was like the year of pirates. And we'll get to the second one and the best. But when I don't think it's the best Pirates game of the pirate-themed games.
That's the... Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with pirate theme. At least it's not zombies, although we did get zombie
Zombie pirates?
No.
Okay.
No.
And so that's unless there's something else y'all want to talk about. That kind of hits it for the big stuff. They did say there will be 4K updates for already 30 existing Xbox One games. So if you get the Xbox One X, you'll get it in 4K and all that stuff.
So the question with that, though, is are they going to be basically what you would seen on a PS4 Pro?
I would guess so. Because those games already exist. There's only so much they can do. They just kind of bump up some of the stuff. So, and the interesting thing... Oh, we didn't talk... Well, I guess we kind of talked about it before. The Anthem game from BioWare. They showed the gameplay.
Yes.
And you were right. You saw people in jetpacks. It looked graphically pretty amazing. Not an exclusive. And they didn't really show a whole lot of... Like you said, it looked kind of like Destiny.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely neat to see more.
Correct.
The one other thing they kind of announced... I'm probably one of the few people that's kind of excited by this. Backwards compatibility for original Xbox games. So, and they already specifically said Crimson Skies would be like the first one when they add it. I think it's cool.
That's always exciting.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing obviously bad about that. Some people are just like, I don't care. Right. I get that, but...
Give me a new Crimson Skies.
Right. Yeah, and I get that. As someone who likes to collect games, I'm like, if I can just take an old original game, stick it in there, and it downloads whatever, and I can play it, that's awesome. So, it makes it easier.
Okay. True. So, moving on.
What was your sort of rating for Xbox then?
C+.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Originally, when I first saw it, I was thinking maybe a B, but then, looking back, I would give it a C+. Just a little bit better than EA's. Yeah. I will say this, too. They learned from Sony. They kept their conference moving. Yes. It was a lot less talking and a lot more, let's go to this video, let's go to this exclusive. They had that, world exclusive and all that stuff. So they definitely had their conference a little more...
I think that the setup of their conference is probably the best. Yeah, the way they do it and the way it looks snazzy and it's all like the way... Like, I like that. It's just the content to me is where the issue is.
And there are other games they showed that we didn't talk about, but we were kind of talking about what we're excited for. As always, let us know in the comments what you're looking for. So then that night, Bethesda had their conference. First, before we get into it, I just want to say they had this sort of theme park theme to the whole thing. I think some people didn't really like it. I kind of got a kick out of it. I thought it was fun, lighthearted. Plus, it keeps things moving because that's all pre-recorded, so it's not like you have to have someone saying this stuff. You just go to the videos and stuff. What were your overall impressions?
I didn't see that one either.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I thought it was okay. Like, they showed games that are coming out, like, this year.
Right.
They showed, like, yet again, I can't remember of any surprises.
Yeah, no big surprises.
They had a lot of VR stuff, which I was kind of like,
one of the few.
You got the next kind of Wolfenstein 2, like the new Colossus, looks pretty interesting.
So, yeah, I would agree. Like I said, it's weird. This conference didn't feel necessary. Like it's like almost they could have skipped this year. But the nice thing is, everything they talked about will be out by the end of the year. Bethesda's always done that. And that's kind of cool that I will be playing this later this year. So you can see the stuff and get excited for it. Like you said, they started with VR. They talked about, I think maybe that was sort of a surprise, that Doom VFR game.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if you have VR, check it out. Fallout 4 VR is basically Fallout, play it in VR. If you're a big VR person.
So run us down, what were some of the big titles they
showed? They talked about Skyrim on Switch, which we hadn't really seen in action. I think the big thing was they revealed you can put amiibos on there, and your character can dress like Link, so you can have actually the Master Sword and the shield and all that. Then they talked about some other Elder Scrolls, like the card game and the online game. I think maybe the biggest sort of surprise that didn't leak at all was Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider.
That's right.
The first real story DLC for Dishonored 2.
Sure.
They only showed CG. They didn't show any gameplay, but if you know how Dishonored works, that's what it's going to play as. So that was kind of cool. They showed some Quake champions, but they really were playing up the whole esports thing. So again, and it's only coming out on PC right now. Cool. I guess one little thing they revealed, you can play as BJ Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein in the game. So then the big thing that was sort of rumored, Evil Within 2 was revealed.
That's right.
Comes out Friday the 13th in October. Clever.
Nice.
It looks good. It looks like it's an actual continuation of the story. I know sometimes some horror games will just do their own thing with the same feel but different characters. It looks like you're playing as the same guy from the first one. It looks like things are happening that continue off the first game. You all excited for that? Or?
I watched Matt play a little bit of it, but it was before this patch, and it was like he could only get so far before the game broke. So I haven't seen very much of that game. But Shinji Mikami's on it, so I don't know. Right. I'd like to see. I'd like to see more of the original too, but I'm glad that he's getting.
It was a really cool trailer too. It was really well done. It's interesting. We'll see. Like I said, it'll be out this year, October 13th. The other big thing, and this one was kind of leaked beforehand, but the new Wolfenstein, like you said, the new Colossus is what it's called.
Yes.
Which, if you remember, at last Bethesda's press conference, they had like a little fake loading DOS screen, and it brought up all these files. One of them said the new Colossus, and they did that on purpose to kind of slip that in there.
Yep.
It looks cool. It comes out October 27th. It's only a couple weeks after Evil Within 2. Started off with like a vintage film feel, like a 1950s sort of thing. It was kind of weird though, because the trailer felt very disjointed. Like it jumped around a lot. Like they kind of threw different scenes together and were like, here you go. But it looked good. If you like the first Wolfenstein, it looks cool. The ending is kind of weird. The guy drops acid, and then and it's CG. It looks like it's the gameplay footage, and all of a sudden this cartoon lizard shows up, and he starts talking to it and telling him they gotta be quiet and stuff. And that's how it ended. So I don't know what that means, if you're gonna be able to take drugs and it affects the environment or what.
That's kind of cool.
And that was it.
Don't do drugs.
So what'd you think? What'd you think about that?
What would you rate it?
Because right now we got a C
and a C plus
and a C plus.
I would probably give them a C plus as well. I feel like their conference moved pretty well. Like I said, I actually liked the theme park aesthetic as they moved around to the different lands to talk about every game. And like I said, Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2 look cool. Some of the other stuff, the Dishonored 2 thing. And then, like I said, the nice thing is it all comes out this year.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that was like huge surprise. Nothing that was like, I can't wait for that or anything. So.
Well, for me, I'd give it a C.
Okay.
And the reason why I feel like this is kind of like the in-between years. Because when you think of Bethesda, and not discounting Quake Champions, that will be good, right? But it's also not like a true standalone story Quake. But for Bethesda, it's always Fallout, Elder Scrolls, they're usually kind of their Doom, or usually their flagships, and none of those, like, they're working on stuff like that. This just wasn't the year that we saw them.
Right.
So it was kind of like the in-between year where, like, it's good stuff, but it's kind of like the B Squad titles. Not that I'm trying to diss Wolfenstein as a B Squad, but it didn't have, like, it's not like they're showing Elder Scrolls 6.
Right.
It's not that year.
Right.
So it was good stuff, but to me, I'd say it's a C.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And Alina? She's undecided. All right, so moving on. What's next?
Moving on to the next day, Ubisoft had their press conference. And they opened up, what overall general impressions real quick?
I liked it. I mean, they had, when you think about the content, what they had.
Yeah.
But
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I know we watched some of the trailers from that one specifically.
So,
yeah, that was kind of my feel. Like, they had some interesting stuff to show.
yes, they did. Now, so you want to talk about kind of let the cat out of the bag first?
Let's go ahead and just run it down real quick.
Okay.
And I will say this, Isha Tyler was not the host this year.
I know, you lost that bet.
And I did miss her. I thought for sure she was going to be there. And I did miss having her there. However, what they did instead was they had the developers each come out and kind of introduce their games. And I felt like things moved a little more.
It did.
For better or for worse. But they hit the ground running right at the beginning, and they actually brought out Mario, Zelda, I can never remember his name, Miyamoto.
Yes, Mario.
They actually
plus
brought
Rabbids.
Miyamoto from Nintendo when they announced Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah.
And that's, the collaboration with Mario and their characters, the Rabbids.
XCOM-ish.
Yeah, the game looks like an XCOM tactic battle type thing. You take cover, they actually have little guns, they shoot at each other. And of course they have unique super moves, like you see Mario, like they run, Mario flips and like bounces them into the air so they can get better position on the map, stuff like that.
Sure.
Actually look pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it does.
It's a Switch game, exclusive to the Switch.
Yeah, they need those.
Yeah. And
the only thing is, it looks really good, but it's not going to be the combat system. It's not Mario.
Right.
So people are going to buy it thinking it's original Mario, and it's like,
they're getting something even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it does look good. That's so it was heavily rumored before.
Yes.
Images had leaked, but nobody knew what kind of game it was. And I think this sort of tactical battle thing going in this direction caught a lot of people by surprise.
We talked about it. In a show of a lot of the same, this was something different.
Yeah,
so
it was.
It's an interesting.
It was. Then, of course, big thing that we are, Microsoft already revealed it, Assassin's Creed Origins. They showed some more of that, some more gameplay. You play as Bayek, the last Magi in Egypt. And he's going to be the founder, I guess, of the Assassins and stuff.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I know I'm super excited for this. Assassin's Creed took a year off. We're getting back into it. It looks amazing. I know y'all aren't I know you're kind of OD'd on Assassins a little bit.
So it looks good. It looks good, but yet again, though, like I said, it's... Yeah, there's been a lot of Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why taking a year off helps.
It does. No, I agree.
But yeah, I'm excited for that one. They also showed a little bit of South Park Fractured But Whole. Comes out October 17th. Looking forward to that one. The first one was really good.
I still have to play Stick of Truth. I can't believe I haven't. I am like such a huge South Park fan, and I have not.
Play it right now.
I know.
Persona, South Park.
Dude.
They're very similar.
I should play South Park, like, between Persona, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot of new info there because they've already talked about it a lot. And
it's coming out October 17th.
Right.
Oh, crap.
So what else?
I gotta flip for this.
They showed us a little bit more of Far Cry 5, which we had talked about before. Comes out next year. They showed us, though, like some of the teammate gameplay, and then there's going to be co-op in the game, which is pretty cool. And then they also showed Steep add-on Road to the Olympics.
Sure.
So if you're a big Steep fan, there's an expansion coming for that or whatever. So that was all stuff, though, that we already kind of knew about. They talked about it before, either released trailers and all that. So some of the newer stuff, they showed The Crew 2.
Yep.
That comes out early 2018, up to 4 people playing together. I never got into the first one or anything, but the cool thing about this one is they're adding like boats and planes, so it's not just cars. Cool. There's like a lot of other options. This one I'm actually pretty excited for. Skull and Bones.
Yep.
This is the other pirate game.
The other pirate game? Okay.
The name didn't give it away.
It comes out sometime in 2018, I think towards the end of the year. It's at E3 they showed the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And it's,
it's basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag, just
just the ship combat.
Just the ship combat.
Okay.
So they took that because the newer Assassins haven't had any ship combat, so it's like they're making their own game using that mechanic or whatever. But you can play with other people now, so I could be in the big man of war, and you could be in the smaller ship harassing the enemies while I'm lighting them up.
It's like real life battleship.
Right, and there's different multiplayer modes. Some are based on, just destroying each other, but some are like who can collect the most treasure, things like that. And they did say afterwards that there will be a single player mode, which at first I was on the fence, but now that I know there's going to be a single player,
story mode.
Yeah. A story mode.
Well, so I was going to ask you, so you're super excited because for me, like the premise seems phenomenal, but to me it's almost like, remember Evolve back in the day? Like the premise is great, but like pulling it off, like getting people to work together online is sometimes a challenge in itself. So like unless you got like a lot of friends.
It's true. That is a game that I won't get if none of my other friends get it. Unless the single player is like a good 20 hours or something. But if I can convince other people to play with me,
maybe.
After you buy that Xbox One X.
I'll play on PC, but you ain't giving me dual consoles.
But yeah,
it's consoles.
I wouldn't say I'm super excited. I would just really say that I'm interested. It's on my radar. And like I said, it's not till the end of next year. So.
Yep.
They also showed the Kraken at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They're sailing, and all of a sudden stuff starts getting pulled down, and then it zooms out, and you see the shape of like a giant squid thing under the ship. So that's kind of cool. This one was just kind of interesting. I thought it was worth mentioning. Starlink Battle for Atlas comes out in fall of next year. Also on the Switch, Xbox, PS4. It's basically a Toys to Life game like Infinity or Lego Dimensions.
Oh, okay.
But the whole thing that looked cool is it's a spaceship. So you're out in space. And the idea is you may need to adjust to different things. So you can add different weapons to the ship and it registers it and then they appear on your ship in game. Or, you need bigger engines. You can change the model and it will change your ship in the game. It looked kind of interesting. I've never been into those kind of games. And I guess this one's going to give you the option. You don't have to buy the toys if you don't want to collect them. They'll give you like a digital option where you can do it that way. But it looked like a different spin on
maybe something
that's kind of getting run into the ground. So. They had Just Dance, 2018.
Yeah, well, we won that one. We knew that was going to be there.
Yep, we said that would be there. And the nice thing, again, there was no talk. They just had some people come out.
People just danced.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And then it said 2018. It was like, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes, and then it was done. Cool. So that was nice. They also announced South Park, The Phone Destroyer.
Yeah.
It's basically a strategy game that uses cards for your phone.
I'm gonna get it.
I'll admit, I don't mind. Like sometimes there's the occasional mobile game that gets really addicting. That looks like it could be it. Plus, it's South Park, so it could be really funny.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm ready for the big thing. Come on.
Then they closed out the conference
with something I don't
with
think
lies.
Because I remember, hold on,
with lies.
Back to hopes and dreams. I think I said I hope this is there, and
I can go back. I shut you down, and I said no. They said specifically. This will not. They will not be showing this because they did.
Maybe I'm an insider.
Ooh.
They revealed Beyond Good and Evil 2. Well, they had a full, good 5-6 minute long CG trailer.
They showed a game that was called Beyond Good and Evil.
Right. And of course, it was basically they said they weren't going to show it, and that's how they closed out the show. It looked really cool. Granted, it was just a CG trailer. Lots of style, lots of humor and stuff. It's supposed to be a prequel. Takes place before the other one. So I don't know if we're gonna,
I don't even remember what Beyond Good and Evil was.
You played as a Jade on this planet. She was like a photographer, but she kind of gets wrapped up in this rebellion against the evil.
What was it for?
It was for PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
And I think it was on GameCube.
In GameCube.
That's what I want to say.
And then they released an HD version on 360 and
PS3.
Yep. Which is how I actually played it.
So no, it's a good game. So
it's old school. It was good.
I have to look it up.
The new one looks like it's going to be huge compared to that first one. You're going to be able to travel to different planets, encounter different species. What I'm not 100% sure on is the multiplayer aspect, because it sounds like there may be something built into it where maybe you run into other players as you're exploring or something. This game's a ways off.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What would you rank the conference on this one?
So I felt like the conference moved. It focused on the developers, which was kind of cool. I did miss Aisha Tyler, but like I said, I think that kind of helped things move. I feel like of all the conferences, even the ones we haven't talked about yet, this had the most surprises. New games that weren't leaked.
I would agree.
I would give this a B, and I'll just tell you right now, I think it was my favorite conference of E3.
That's good to know.
So
I'd give it a B as well.
Okay.
So I guess I just hope, I agree, what we saw with Beyond Good and Evil was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope they didn't Watch Dogs it. So remember, Ubisoft a couple years ago, they showed this wonderful... there's no gameplay. Right? So it got me hyped, which we'll talk about this later. They actually showed something. So I give them props for that. I'm excited. We just have no idea what the game's going to be. Right? So this is here's a movie. It looked cool, but I do agree. They have probably the most content. Ubisoft just has a lot of stuff going on right now. So I thought it was good.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Cool.
You?
Didn't see it.
Okay. Moving on.
So then that night, probably the most anticipated of all the shows.
Yeah.
Sony. Just real quick general impressions.
So they didn't have a lot of surprises.
Right.
Yet again, I'll let you go through the rundown of the game. I thought but they did show a lot of gameplay. Right?
They did show a lot of gameplay.
And yet again, it's kind of not fair because they've shown so much moments the last 2 years.
They set the bar so high.
It's tough to sustain it.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought it was a good showing. And like I said, we'll talk about the games. For me, Spider-Man, God of War, that remake of a game that you'll mention here in a second. I'm as excited about. They showed some good stuff. Yeah. However, we've talked about, for everybody else, Microsoft included, showing stuff that was coming out this year. They opened with, realistically, pretty much all that's coming out this year, which is Uncharted.
Yeah, they started with Uncharted
Legacy,
Lost Legacy.
Which looks good.
Yeah.
But that comes out, it makes you wonder
August 22nd.
What comes out for the rest of the year.
Right.
So
yeah, it is kind of weird. And I think I said, my hope and dream for this was that we were going to get a lot of nailed down dates for these games. Most of them would give us a window.
Yes.
God of War, for example, said early 2018.
Sure.
And that's fine, but I was, tell me March, because I almost guarantee you it's going to be March.
Yes.
But yeah, they started with Uncharted 22nd. They revealed, this was kind of cool, this was DLC, story DLC.
I did watch this one.
Okay. So they started with the story, then they showed story DLC for Horizon, which I don't think anybody really knew was coming. And that'll be out this year. They didn't say when, but it should be out this year. Days Gone, that's the one you were thinking of.
Okay.
They actually had gameplay.
And new gameplay showed a different dynamic for the game. More of a story mode.
Story-driven stealth. It looked interesting. Again, this game, though, doesn't really have my attention too much. It's another zombie survival story game.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe a better quality one with more story and stuff.
Yeah. Different kind of main character and different sort of gameplay instead of just shoot 'em up zombie game.
Right.
So I'll give them that. It's still a zombie game, but at least there's a different take on the gameplay and story for it. Right. So that's okay.
And I saw some stuff, somebody was saying something that, for example, you can put C4 down as a trap, and let's say you don't use it, and 2 hours later you've been exploring, you happen to come back across that, C4 will still be there. It's
it remembers.
Yeah, it's not it disappears on you or anything. It's everything, it's very oriented to traps and setting up. We saw in the demo, I think he blows a gate. Yes. So all the zombies come rushing in and they scare off the humans. Then he can go rescue his buddy.
Yeah, it had promise. No, it does. Yeah. But it's kind of one of those things though too, right? Until you actually see it. Yeah. It was kind of the gameplay, but it was kind of pre-scripted. So it makes you wonder how well does that work?
Right.
Realistically.
And there was no release date.
Correct. No release date.
Monster Hunter World was announced. Again, this is another one a lot of people didn't really see coming. There was rumors about a new Monster Hunter game, but
it wasn't this one.
You're right.
And I'm so glad it's this one.
So early 2018, and it's not PlayStation exclusive. It will be on Xbox and PC.
Yes.
But I know you're super excited.
She's super excited.
Super excited.
Super excited.
It looked pretty cool. I've never really played a Monster Hunter game. I know you've played a bunch. How does this look compare?
It looks amazing. I love the open world. Before I was I don't know, open world Monster Hunter, but it makes sense, and I love that you can just sort of traverse and be oh, there's monsters over here, and I hope it's really big, because the way they do it in regular Monster Hunter with all the different sections, it was. I watched a developer thing after too, where it was talking about. Now we don't have to have the loading, and you can just seamlessly move into kind of each area, and a couple new weapons and a couple new sort of armor things, I guess the cloaks or whatever, and stealth is totally new and all that kind of stuff. I guess it sort of works like MMO, but not really. You can still call in your friends and or play with random people, so it still has the dynamic of normal Monster Hunter games. Mm-hmm. So it's just a Monster Hunter game just super improved. Like, oh, so freaking excited! I was so excited for this. It's just beautiful. We finally get a game that's not on the freaking 3DS. Like,
right.
It's so, toned down graphically. We get something that's on console or PC. Like, oh my god, yeah, just super pumped. I get to see all these monsters in like glorious resolution. Oh man, yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so excited.
You're super excited.
Super excited.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of people seemed surprised and happy about that one. So, and I will say, really, that and the next one, I feel like were the only two big sort of surprise announcements. Sony usually has a lot of ones. The next one was basically a remake of Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes.
Looked really cool. Now, there's been no official word, I guess, on whether it's a remake or a remaster.
So I've heard that it is. So I've read that it was. It's not. It's a remake, but of the same game.
Right.
That makes sense.
It's basically it's sort of what they do with Crash Bandicoot that's coming out.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same game, but with like.
But they started from scratch,
redone.
so it's not like they just said, "Hey, we're going to up the like."
Right.
It is a completely like
they already
new
did
camera.
a remaster on PS3.
Yes, it's new camera, new control scheme, but same monsters. Like it's going to be the same Colossus. So it's going to be the same game, but. It looks interesting. It's like I would play that now for the third time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sony.
And no official date. They just said 2018.
Correct.
That one looks cool.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted. I never got around to playing the remaster. I played the original on PS2, so it would be cool to jump into this with.
Yeah.
I never played
everything.
the full game. I sort of played it in tandem with Matt, like at some point. So he was like, "Here, you do this one," or So I played a few different ones, but I've never like. Sat down and done the whole game on my own, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do it.
It's a good opportunity to do it.
Yep.
So that was sort of those two were pretty much the only surprises of the conference.
Yes.
Then there was a little bit. They're the only ones that showed anything about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. They showed some of the story, and then did the whole demo out now.
Yeah.
Which is also on Xbox. It's not just on PlayStation. Correct. But it looked cool. Like I said, I'm always a fan of the story. But no real surprises there or anything. Then they're also the only ones that showed anything of the new Call of Duty. They had a brief trailer for World War II. Comes out November 3rd. Usually, I feel like you see that at Microsoft and Sony. This year is just Sony.
Yeah, I think they have a kind of that deal because they also show like this Destiny 2, which is like Activision's kind of their.
Which we can
Sony's
stuff. The only one that showed Destiny 2. They showed some of the exclusive stuff that Sony's going to have. That comes out September 6th.
Yes.
I know you were the only one that really got into Destiny of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game, but am I super excited for the new one? I mean, I got to see more, right? Like, I was kind of burnt out. I mean, I played it so much that I'm kind of like, I've moved on, ready to do other things. So unless this one's significantly different, I don't know if I'm as eager just to kind of jump right back into the grind.
Fair enough. They also showed some PSVR stuff. I think the most...
Yeah, showed a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing or most notable thing was Skyrim. You're going to be able to play Skyrim in VR. Yet another version of Skyrim. But
need it.
Then, of course, they had God of War.
Yeah, good.
All new gameplay. And like I said, all they said at the end was early 2018.
Yep.
I was hoping for a firm date, but what they showed looked good. Graphically, looked really impressive. The part where they're like in that boat.
Yeah, it looks
like flowers and mist and all that. It just looked really cool.
Yeah.
So definitely excited for that one. But again, nothing super new.
Sure.
Detroit Become Human.
They
had a full trailer for that. I'm
was
really looking
neat.
forward. I like those games a lot. It was sort of a gameplay trailer, sort of a not gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
They kind of show you had choices you could make.
Yeah,
They showed the new character.
Yeah.
Different protagonist.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, 2018.
Yeah.
No real release date given. It might be 2019. And then they closed out the show with, I think, probably the best thing. They showed Spider-Man. And it wasn't like a trailer. It was basically like a section of gameplay. So you actually got to see how this was going to play. It has a little bit of that Assassin's Creed, Batman, Arkham combat system. But it looked really slick. It looked a lot of fun, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, I read that you're not going to be able to kill anybody. So like there's part, you could throw someone off a building, the game will automatically make Spider-Man then grab him and like tie him to a pole or something. Like, you can't just let someone fall to their death or anything. But they showed a lot of gameplay. It looked really cool. There were a lot of QuickTime events, which sometimes worries me a little bit.
But it is open world. So they did clarify, like, it's going to be open world, but then there's going to be missions.
Right.
And as long as they're used sparingly, like...
And that's what they said later, was just those quick time events will only be in those, like, very specific, big story-driven moments.
About the story, though, the world looked good. Like, it looked like...
Yeah.
You know, it's been a long time since it's been, like, a really, like, Spider-Man game I've been excited for. But
Yeah. And this is exclusive to PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't give a date again. They just said 2018.
So what did y'all think about it? So I'm going to start with you, because you've actually watched this.
This is what I saw. I feel bad, like, grading this one versus the other ones because I didn't see the other one.
But if you just had to.
So, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, Monster Hunter World. And that was total surprise. I'm super pumped for it. It looks beautiful, and I'm just... like that's what made it for me, right? Like Shadow of the Colossus is cool, but that's like the only game I care about in all of E3.
Gotcha.
So
that was your big,
because it was there, it's like super A+. Like, I don't know, I'm just really excited for that. Like, I just want to talk about it so much.
So I would give Sony's conference a B+. So I'll talk first about the things that we talked about that we
like
thought.
You said, I'm a resident more Xbox gamer. You're definitely our resident more PlayStation gamer.
So I guess my thought was a couple things, but for me, it's what wasn't there, right? So we had talked. I was like, Bloodborne 2, nope. The Last of Us 2,
cool.
Nope. Anything coming out this year, Like the games that they showed, right? Like I think if you kind of look at their big four, you know, the Spider-Man, God of War. Days Gone or Detroit Human, Become Human or whatever. What's it called?
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, Become Human. Even the Shadow of the Colossus, like those all looked really, really good, but they're all a ways off.
Yeah.
I will tell you one observation like about that. They're all single player story games. Everything from Microsoft has a multiplayer component. If you think about the games they release that they make, they're all multiplayer. All of these were all single player for the most part. I thought it was good, but again, except for Monster Hunter. Again, I felt like this was kind of the theme. It's like this was like everybody's off year. Like they were like, it's in between, but it's all going to be 2018. So 2018 is looking great. But another thing too, like Insomniac. I'm sorry, not Insomniac. Sucker Punch. We still don't know what they're making. The Media Molecule, The Dreams. Like, has that been canceled? Like, there's still things that are going on. I wonder if they're holding stuff back for... And they said, actually, they may be holding stuff back for the Sony experience, the PlayStation experience.
PlayStation experience. That Sony seems to go all in on the PlayStation experience now. Which they also announced December 9th or 10th, something like that, is when they're going to hold it this year.
So what did you think? Now, obviously, it can't be better than a B, because you said...
Yeah. I would give it a B.
Okay.
I think it was solid. It moved. You know, Sony's got that down now. Little talking, a lot of videos.
I really like that.
Yeah. It's just, you know, plenty of exclusives, but just no huge announcements for me. Like I said, you know, Monster Hunter World is cool, but for me, that was like, cool, but, you know, Shadow of the Colossus, cool, I've played it before, it looks good, I'll probably get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was a bunch of just more of what we've already kind of heard of, which is nice. I want to see more. But yeah, and just a lot of it was coming out, like you said, 2018.
Correct.
Which is, I think, one of the reasons, you know, yes, I gave Ubisoft a B and Sony a B, but I gave Ubisoft the edge because I feel like more of their stuff will be out this year, and there were more, like, unknowns and surprises. So.
And it's also, it's funny, it's like, it's almost as if, like, Sony was, like, got Microsoft's, like, playbook. Because if, like, Microsoft had come out and shown, like, game after game after game that was, like, first-party exclusive and new, like, you might as well have been printing money.
Yeah.
Because Sony has nothing to compete. Like, yes, they have some other games coming out. There's, like, Everybody's Golf, with, you know, the kind of the Hot Shots thing.
Right. And they had a pre-show where they showed some of that stuff.
They have, like, a Gran Turismo,
2, Gran Turismo.
Like, they have some stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not... I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to get hate for this. Like, Gran Turismo is no longer, like, a system seller. I feel like it was before.
Not the same.
Like, they don't have a lot of that same stuff coming out. Like, if Microsoft had a huge killer lineup, like, Sony's got nothing coming out this fall. It's like they knew that, going, we'll just push it back to 2018.
Right.
But...
so then E3 shows closed out Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Nintendo. And granted, Nintendo does things a little different. It's not like a full conference thing. General impressions of Nintendo.
A lot of Mario. It was good. Like, they had some announcements. I'll let you get to those, right? but they didn't show anything. So for me, that's where I kind of go, yeah, like they announced some things, but like show me gameplay. At least show me a trailer, show me something, and they didn't.
Right.
So if I guess I'll let you tell us what it is, and I'll give you my rating.
Right. Well, and I'll say too, my kind of sort of just general impression was it was better.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they've moved out of the Wii U phase. The Switch is getting more regular support, and I think they're showing that. But yeah, there wasn't. Well, let's get into it. They started by showing some of their competitive stuff because I know Nintendo's trying to get more into the esports stuff. They talked about ARMS. They talked about Splatoon 2. They talked about Rocket League coming to the Switch. And then they showed, of course, Pokemon Tournament DX is coming to the Switch, which was already on the Wii U. You're having 5 new characters to play as.
Something like
it's
that.
basically a Pokemon fighting game.
Yeah.
It's not bad. And if you missed it on Wii U, this is a good opportunity to grab it. But, you know, the game already exists, so but that's cool. I mean, there's some new ones, and I think all of those are coming out this year. ARMS is already out, so I think all of those games will be out this year, so that's good for the Switch. They did announce a new Kirby game with 4-player co-op.
They announced a new Yoshi game.
Also going to have some co-op in there. Both of those, though, are not coming out until 2018. They also talked about, and these were sort of big announcements with almost no details. Pokemon RPG will be coming to the Switch. And it's going to be like a full-blown RPG Pokemon game, which could be really cool. But they have very little information about it.
I didn't hear anything about that one.
They didn't talk about it a lot.
There's nothing to tell other than that they're making it.
Yeah, basically they said, hey, we're working on this.
Yep.
Followed by the big announcement that everybody's super excited for, Metroid Prime 4 is coming to the Switch. And all they showed was the title. Played a little Metroid Prime music. And that's it. Later on, you found out Retro, the studios who made the first 3, not working on this one. The producer, however, though, is working on this one, who worked on the first one. So the guy overseeing it, worked on the first 3, so that's good.
Yeah.
But again, this game could 2019, 2020, I don't know.
Well, you haven't seen anything from it. I mean, It's Nintendo. I'm sure it'll be good.
They just wanted people to get excited. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out.
It's like, but at least Beyond Good and Evil 2 gave you something.
Yeah.
Like, give me even a 20-second teaser. Just like, actually, I would have been more pumped to see like them like scan up and you're like, oh my gosh, that's Samus.
Right.
Like something. It's like, yep, there's a title. Like
yeah.
Okay.
It was super basic. Yeah. Interesting. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 they showed a little more of, and it's still supposed to be coming out by the end of the year, which is kind of cool. It's a big RPG coming out for the Switch. Fire Emblem Warriors, they showed some more. That'll be out this fall.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild DLC.
Yep.
All coming out by the end of the year. So that's cool. There's some stuff still, big stuff coming out. You can still get more life out of your Breath of the Wild. The Champions Ballad Master Mode, or I guess Champions Ballad, I think is a new story DLC.
Sure.
So, and then of course the big one, Mario Odyssey.
Yes.
They showed gameplay. They showed the idea that you're going to be able to use his hat to control all sorts of stuff, enemies, all sorts of creatures. A T-Rex was the big reveal, I guess. And it looks like the different worlds he goes into, his hat will change to be part of that world. He goes to like the little Mexico land. He gets a sombrero.
Yeah.
He goes to like the jazzy world. He gets like a fancy top hat and stuff like that. And apparently like the little Mexican Mario and the little Chef Mario and all that stuff are actually based on an older Mario game where he would dress as those characters, and they just updated them for Odyssey, which was kind of cool.
That is cool.
It looked good. It's still supposed to be coming out by the end of the year. I don't think they gave an actual...
October 27th.
There you go. So October 27th. And that was kind of it. After the little... I guess you could almost call it like a Nintendo Direct. During their Treehouse thing where they show more gameplay, they also announced another Metroid game, Samus Returns.
For 3DS.
For 3DS. Yep. And it's basically a reimagining of Metroid 2, which was on Game Boy.
Okay.
So it's... which there was a big deal because there was a fan remake of that game that came out recently, and Nintendo shut it down. Apparently because they were working on this. It looked good. If you have a 3DS, it looks so fun. They actually showed gameplay and stuff, so this is much further along than, obviously, Metroid Prime 4.
Yep. So what'd you think?
Overall, I mean, I would probably give it a C+.
Okay. Because
they did show games. They did show stuff that's coming out this year, some stuff for next year. They showed a mix of gameplay and other things like that. Like I said, the Metroid Prime 4 announcement is cool. Metroid Prime, I told Alina this earlier, is one of the few Nintendo games I've actually sat down and played and beat all of them all the way through.
Sure.
So I am excited for this, but they showed us nothing of it, and it's not coming out until who knows when.
Yeah.
And they also talked about the Ubisoft game here as well. I forgot about
Mario
that.
plus Rabbids.
Yeah. But the big reveal was at Ubisoft. But anyway, so I would give it a C. What did I say, C+?
C+.
Because I think it was solid, but nothing jaw-dropping, nothing that's... Like, I don't have a Switch yet. Nothing here is going to make me rush out to get a Switch. That Mario Rabbids game actually looks like the strongest thing to make me want to get one soon. And then Mario Odyssey looks good, but...
I'd give it a B.
Okay.
So, I would say, like, they had some good... I mean, that's kind of the problem I kind of alluded to earlier, right? Like, it's kind of funny. Like, we want to see gameplay and we want to see new titles, right? So here it's like we heard new titles, like the Metroid and some of those are exciting, but we saw hardly anything on them.
Right.
So, Mario Odyssey, is going to be great. Like, a lot of people, I think, said that Nintendo killed it because Mario Odyssey was great. Where I think I'd probably say for me it was Sony, just because as good as Mario Odyssey is, if I had to choose Mario Odyssey or Spider-Man, God of War, Monster Hunter World, I'm kidding. But if you had to put those up, even though none of these are coming out this year, like, I still think Mario, like, they had some good stuff. A lot of it was all coming out this year. Yet again, Nintendo kind of does their own thing, and they could start showing more stuff. Like, this really was probably all about, like, Mario, and it's kind of one of those things because you kind of hear two different things. So they could have shown more. Like, there was rumored, we talked about, like, Smash Brothers, like, are they going to do more ports and things like that? But then again, and granted, you kind of take this, it depends on kind of how you view it. I mean, we did get a new Zelda this year. Was it kind of a Wii U port? Yes. I mean, we did get a Mario Kart, and we're getting a brand new Mario all in one year. Like, that doesn't typically happen. Like, could they have said, hey, here's Metroid Prime 4, and here's all... I mean, they could have shown all this stuff. Like, that's going to be years. That's, like, next year's stuff.
Right.
So, that's kind of my thought on it.
For me, Nintendo is usually a big don't care. Like, except there are very few... things Nintendo's good with is its own properties.
Yeah.
Nothing like Nintendo has a grasp on their own private things, which is nice.
Yeah.
For them. But for me, I don't care about a lot of Nintendo properties. I don't care about Mario. Granted, I don't really care about Zelda. Like, Breath of the Wild looks really good, and I do want to play it, but I don't have a Nintendo system.
Sure.
I haven't forever. I don't think I've ever actually owned a Nintendo system. And, did I say Mario?
Yeah.
Kirby, like, looks fun, but another game that I've never gotten into, and so it's kind of like, I'm not a Nintendo person. The only thing I really care about is Pokemon. And the main game of Pokemon is gotten really boring to me. So the whole thing where you're like, Pokemon RPG, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Like, I'm looking for something different in Pokemon that I haven't gotten in a long time. And I'm hoping that it's that. I don't know if it's going to convince me to get a Switch or whatever, but...
Well, and there's been a rumor circulating that it's going to be called Pokemon Stars.
Yeah.
To go with the Sun and Moon that came out in 3DS.
Okay.
So the Switch version is Stars.
Because they did announce wasn't they announced it there very quickly before the Sun and Moon, but like the Ultra versions or something?
Yeah,
DX, Ultra, something. Whatever.
Yeah, and...
whatever.
So I just think about it. So I thought Sony probably was the best. It sounds like you thought Sony.
Yeah.
And you said...
I actually said Ubisoft. But
Ubisoft.
Sony was definitely up there next to them.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Ubisoft brought a few more like surprises
No, I
and things
agree.
than
They
Sony,
did.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. So at the end, it
Which
seems
is
like...
funny because I always feel like Ubisoft is middle of the pack, but for some reason this year they just kind of hit the right notes for me. But.
I don't feel like anybody ran away with it.
No.
I feel like the whole conference as a whole was kind of a...
Yeah.
So
they're taking a break from all the big announcements last year. I mean, like you said, it's just an off year. And that's fine. Like,
and I do feel
E3
like
doesn't have to be crazy every year because then it's just, I don't know.
But I do think, for me, like,
on itself.
The whole theme of the show is, like, we always talk about things that weren't announced or that we didn't see. There are so many developers across all ends of it that we don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Like Nintendo with Retro, like, they still own Retro. So if they're not doing Metroid, what are they doing? Like,
another Donkey Kong game.
But they may be, right? You think about, like, we talked about the Sony studios, and then Microsoft has studios. like, besides the Sea of Thieves, hopefully Rare's doing something else or some other. We didn't see a Halo. We didn't see the Gears,
which I think we had talked about that was it 353 Industries who makes
343.
Halo?
343.
343 was supposed to be there, and they weren't in the conference.
Yes.
I guess in the post-show thing where it talked directly to the Xbox people, they were there, and they were talking about an expansion for Halo Wars.
Okay.
2.
Sure.
So they did have a little bit of Halo, but not at the main show.
But that's there was a whole lot of stuff that people are working on stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's
Halo 7 is definitely Halo
6.
7? No, 6.
Halo 6.
Whatever. It's in production. It's just they're saving that but it's closer.
It's kind of one of those things. I think it really kind of showed, especially with Microsoft, when they didn't have a Gears of War and a Halo, how kind of
right.
Because Forza Horizon is going to be there every year, but without that next, it didn't seem like Crackdown is going to be the game that's going to be like that third year, right? When they don't have it. So I don't know. All in all, I think E3 overall was just kind of a big this year.
And did Square Enix even get a conference?
No,
didn't they have one last year?
2 years ago.
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, they had that when they had Final Fantasy 15 and I don't know.
When they had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they had a bunch of random. I think maybe that's when the new Tomb Raider was going to come out.
And to that point, we didn't see new Tomb Raider, right?
No.
They've heard that's called. What was it?
Oh yeah.
They released the title. We didn't see any more about Final Fantasy VII Remake. They showed a trailer beforehand of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Right.
They have, there's a lot of stuff that they just, everybody kind of held stuff close to the vest this year, I feel like.
And like we said, Sony, I think since they have their own show now in the holiday, Christmas, whatever, they like to hold some of the big surprises for people then. So sometimes Microsoft also likes to do stuff is it Gamescom?
Yeah.
Because Xbox is pretty big in Europe. And so I think sometimes they like to show off some stuff there.
Maybe E3 is just kind of splitting off.
Yeah.
Sharing their hype with other.
But it's so much more. But if you think about it, though, too, right? It's so much more. Games are coming out so much more year round now. Where it used to be games always came out right around the holidays.
Yeah. September to November.
When you think about, for me, this year's biggest games were March.
Yeah.
Horizon and Zelda. Those are March games. So
Persona.
Yeah. I mean, that was April, right? That was early April.
It was almost from January to April. You had a lot of big.
You had Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil 7.
You had Mass Effect.
There was so
Yakuza 0.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not just it used to be where E3 set up the games that are coming out this holiday.
Right.
It's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And they just need to bring out stuff in June and July. Those are two
that's
dead
okay.
months.
They just need to stretch the hell a little bit.
So. All right.
That's it. I'm sure there's plenty of games we didn't talk about that y'all might be interested in. Let us know in the comments if we should talk about them later. Because we didn't talk about any of the stuff that was just shown on the floor. Because some people just show up and do their own thing. But that about does it. This podcast was a little longer. Next time we'll keep it at our 30-minute mark.
Yep.
But,
you can wake up now. Wake up.
But lots of good stuff to look forward to, even if there weren't any big, huge announcements, except for Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
I'll be keeping you guys updated on that one. Don't you worry.
But lots of good stuff. And maybe we'll take our wallets, get a small break this year, since everything's 2018. But I think that does it for us.
Dude, please.
We'll see you guys next week. And take it easy.
See ya.